So, for the pregame show tonight, let's see, what have I been reading? I'm getting near done with all creatures great and small. As you can see there, the fold is advancing. I am about, what is this? I'm about 100 pages from the end, and it's one of those things. I always find this when I'm reading a book. The first 50 to 100 pages are an absolute slog, and everything after that is just downhill. It goes very quickly, and that's what I'm finding here as well. And I have loved this book so much that the cover has now fallen off. It's a combination of my efforts plus whoever owned it beforehand. It's a good evening, Ark. It's good to see you. It is, let's see, when was this paperback published? This would have been 1973. So, this book is only a little, this edition is only a little bit older than I am. Also, on the note of older paperback editions, I had this in my library, decided to finally hop down and read it. True Tales from the Annals of Crime and Rascality, which one might think, based on the cover and the name of the author, St. Clair McKelway, that this would be an English author. In fact, it is not. It is an American author writing in as a newspaper article series in the early 20th century. And so for something that looks as gothic and as possibly Scotland Yard focused, it's got a whole section in here on like the organized crime sort of underpinnings and community foundations of, different Chinatowns and different cities and things like that. So it's got a much bigger focus than the cover would lead you to think it believes. Lead you to believe it has. There we go. Lead you to think it believes. The specific thing I'd like to look at is actually not something that I found. I mean, I found it, of course, but I found it was a very short hop to finding it. It is a poem by W.H. Auden that has shown up in the New York Times this week. I'm going to give you a link to the interactive piece, which is quite good and goes into it far more detail than I will. The article is absolutely worth a read. I highly recommend it. Today we're going just to look at the poem, and which is a screen cap of the poem from that article, and just enjoy it. So, let's see. There we are. Pull this down so I can look at it a little bit better. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look at this on my own screen. So, Musée de Beaux, I think, by W.H. Auden. And this is about a painting of Icarus falling into water after having flown too close to the sun. And Icarus is virtually a visual footnote in this painting, and there's so much else going on around him. About suffering, they were never wrong, the old masters. How well they understood its human position, how it takes place while someone else is eating or opening a window or just walking dully along. How, when the aged are reverently, passionately awaiting for the miraculous birth, there always must be children who did not specially want it to happen, skating on a pond at the edge of the wood. They never forgot that even the dreadful martyrdom must run its course anyhow in a corner, some untidy spot where the dogs go on with their doggy life and the torturer's horse scratches its innocent behind on a tree. In Bruegel's Icarus, for instance, how everything turns away quite leisurely from the disaster. The plowman may have heard the splash, the forsaken cry, but for him it was not an important failure. The sun shone as it had to on the white legs disappearing into the green water. And the expensive, delicate ship that must have seen something amazing, a boy falling out of the sky, had somewhere to get to and sailed calmly on. And I love that. I love that poem. It touches on something that I've thought about many times, which is misfortune and also success. Even in a world as interconnected as ours, where successes and failures can be broadcast, just how anonymous ultimately many of those are. And I think a lot of us are given this 15 seconds of fame idea that the internet and being an influencer and the like helps to encourage. The notion that that is something that you can be in some permanent or lasting way. And even your success in that regard is is entirely anonymous to the overwhelming majority of people on Earth. And it's important to take meaning in that as you can. Icarus, for example, takes meaning in his own death, which one hopes we all will, and his victory would be being able to do that despite nobody noticing or caring. So, with that happy note, we're going to look at Cyber Shadow, a ninja whose victories are less anonymous now that they're being streamed. So, 1 second.